to Prep Eve, where we revolutionize how you prepare for IELTS. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our channel. And let's get started with the writing task 2. It's for both the general training and the academic test. So let's get started. And today's agenda is the fourth essay directive, which is advantage, disadvantage, along with the opinion. So basically, these kind of questions end with the directive, discuss the advantages as well as the disadvantages and give your opinion. Along with that, we'll also be having a look at the second parameter, which is coherence and cohesion. We dealt with it yesterday too, but today we'll be getting to revise it so that the ones who have just joined us are in a position to know more about it. Okay, we've got the first doubt of the day, which is, ma'am, you told us that you should not use contractions in essays. Should we not use even etc. etc.? Monica, that's right. You should not be using any abbreviations, any contractions. Nothing of that sort is allowed. So this is a little about us. We have been training candidates to appear for the IELTS test for over 3 years now, and we have catered to more than 35,000 students through our YouTube videos across 30 plus countries, and they have benefited from our videos, and we have received a lot of mails as well as messages to convey the same. Next is that we also offer one-to-one personalized courses wherein we have taught more than 1,400 students by now. In fact, it's going to touch 1,500 as we are talking. So many students have been taught and they have achieved their desired band score by staying with us and taking our feedback and, learning a lot from us. So these are some of the successful candidates and their pictures. Coherence and cohesion parameter. So the ones who were not able to attend the yesterday's session or the ones who are joining us for the very first time today, let's just revise it quickly, try and understand what this parameter basically means. So quick revision of the first parameter, which is task response. In that parameter, we basically have to fulfill a few things, which are: number one, you should adhere to the word limit, which is 250 words in case of your essay. Number two is that you have to answer all parts of the question. So if the question has 3 parts, 2 parts, or even 1 part, you have to address the entire part properly. You have to take care of what the question is asking and respond to the task at hand. Number two is that you should also take a stance and continue with that stance throughout your essay. So if you're agreeing, disagreeing, if you think advantages are more, disadvantages are more, whatever your opinion is, you have to be consistent with your opinion. Only then you will be in a position to fulfill your task response parameter. And along with that, each and every point that you write in your body paragraphs should be relevant, should not be inaccurate or inappropriate in any way. It should be directly associated with the question being asked, and you should be elaborating and discussing in detail about each of your ideas, so that once the person or the examiner or the reader reads your essay, they are very clear as to what you're trying to convey, because they can see examples or surveys, and they can also see that you have explained your ideas properly. Okay, So this was all about the task response parameter. If you want to know in detail about these, then the first few sessions dealt with the task response parameter, and now we are moving on to coherence and cohesion. So, coherence and cohesion. Coherence basically means that you have to logically sequence your ideas in a structured manner so that the reader finds it comfortable to read your essay and there are no hiccups in between. It's very smooth when he or she is going through your essay. Okay, that's what coherence means. This is coherence. What about cohesion? Cohesion basically means that you have to use connectors or linking words or what we call cohesive devices to connect your sentences well as to connect your sentences with the paragraphs and your paragraphs with each other. So what are the connectors that we can use? So we'll be learning about the connectors as well. But for now, you just need to understand that coherence basically means logical sequencing of ideas in a structured manner so that you can express yourself properly. And cohesion means that you're using connectors or cohesive devices to connect your sentences to each other and also your paragraphs to each other. So let's quickly have a look at what needs to be done if you're scoring 4 band scores in your coherence and cohesion parameter. So first of all, you are presenting information and ideas, but there's always a but these are not arranged coherently. There's no coherence, logical sequencing nahi hai. So basically, even if you're presenting information, even if your ideas are great and you have great thought process, still if you are not arranging your ideas or if you're not sequencing your ideas in a coherent manner and there is no clear progression in your response, in that case you'll end up scoring a 4 band score. Second thing that you have to keep in mind is that if you're scoring 4, it means that you're using basic cohesive devices, but they are inaccurate or repetitive. So this is yet again an issue. So if you want to score more than 4 band score, then you should be using the cohesive devices appropriately so that they seek no extra attention. And also you should be writing or arranging your ideas in a coherent manner, okay, without any hiccups. Last, may not write in paragraphs or their use may be confusing. So this is a very basic error. If you are into the preparation of IELTS for quite some time now, I don't think you'll be making this mistake because this is a mistake for someone who's just a beginner. So someone may not know how to paragraph their essays, how many paragraphs should be there, and how they should be writing each paragraph. But here, may not write in paragraphs or their use may be confusing. So this is also something that you should be taking care of. So this is what we are supposed to be taking care of, that we do not do these things. Have to arrange our ideas coherently. There should be clear progression, cohesive devices should be used appropriately, and also the paragraphing should be done skillfully. So let's move on to what do we need to score a 7 band score in this parameter. So logically organizes information and ideas. So logically is the key word here. Your ideas should be organized in a logical manner. For example, if you have to write advantages and disadvantages in your question, you don't write them alternately, you write them clubbed together. So similar topics or similar things are clubbed together in one paragraph and the other is clubbed together in the other one. So that is what we have to do. So there is clear progression throughout. It's very clear how you're progressing. Uses a range of cohesive devices appropriately. That's what makes you score a 7 band score from a 4 band score. In the 4 band score, you're using it inaccurately. Galat use kar rahe ho aap. Maybe you had to use more over, but you end up using in contrast. These two are opposite in meaning. So if you use one such, you're using it correctly from your end and you think, oh my god, I have used 5 connectors, mera to is baar clear ho jayega. But that's not the case. Till the time you're not using it accurately, nahi hoga. Okay, so you guys need to understand this very carefully. And presents a clear central topic within each paragraph. So here you have to be very careful with regards to logically sequencing your ideas, number one. Number two, using cohesive devices, but using them only when necessary. It should not be overused or underused. Third, there should be clear central topic within each paragraph. कहना क्या चाहते हो, that should be clear. So this is what is bare minimum that's needed out of you so that you end up scoring a 7 band score. Alright, so let's quickly see what 9 band looks like. So 9 band has two requirements, uses cohesion or cohesive devices in such a way that it attracts no attention. Iska kya matlab hai? What do we mean by no attention? No attention basically means that it is not being used unnecessarily. Number one. Number two, it is not being overused. Number three, it's not being underused. Now, I'll tell you guys something. I have been a witness to this question lot many times. मैम कितने कोहेसिव डिवाइसेस या कितने कनेक्टर्स यूज करने से 7 band scores आ जाएंगे? Or if I have to translate the question into English, how many connectors should I use to get a band score above 7? So let me tell you one very simple thing. Let me clear it out right here that ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. There is no minimum score given to you based on the number of connectors you have used. So even if you use 3 to 5 connectors, you might end up scoring 8 band scores or even 9 band scores. And also if you write 10 connectors, it might be over usage, unnecessary usage, and you end up scoring 6.5 in your writing. So ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि minimum number of connectors use करने से आपके band scores बढ़ेंगे. That's not the prerequisite. All you have to keep in mind is that when you're writing your essay, you are not supposed to count your connectors. That's a big no. You should not be counting the number of connectors you have written. Instead, you should be focusing on how well you're writing, how well you're expressing yourself, and are you using the connectors in a proper manner? Is it making sense? Is it changing the meaning of the sentence or not? So the focus should only be on number one, how you're expressing yourself, and number two, are the connectors, even if you're using 1, 2 or 5 connectors or 10 connectors, is the usage needed? पहली बात, आपको लिखने की जरूरत है, is that usage needed? Number two, is that usage correct? So ये दोनों चीजों का ध्यान हमने रखना है, whether we are using the connector correctly and also whether it is needed in the first place or not. Okay, so I have dealt with this particular parameter, which is our second parameter, in quite a lot of detail. Any questions? So, Monica, I think I've clarified your doubts. So, you do not have to write contractions, you do not have to write abbreviations, you do not have to write any acronyms. So, just avoid any sort of informal writing. Can we use hook in the beginning? That's the question by Naresh. And Reet says the same question. She's also asking the same question more or less. Can we use neutral background statement in the beginning of the introduction? So this question is for Reet and for Naresh. Okay, you guys have to tell me what's the advantage of writing hook line? कोई फायदा है? Okay, Naresh and Reet, if you're still with us, I would like to know why you think we should be writing a hook line. Okay, let me ask another question. How much time do you guys take to write a hook line or a general neutral statement in the beginning of your introduction? Anybody can answer this question. How much time do you take to write the first sentence of your introduction, which is a generic sentence or the hook line, before you start writing or before you start paraphrasing your question? So let's focus on that. Okay, so Shah says it takes 2-3 minutes. Okay, anyone else? Alright, so I'll just tell you my personal experience and why I think you should not be writing the hook line. Okay, so number one is that I personally feel that if you write the hook line, it's going to be time consuming. It might take up to 5 minutes at times, okay? 5 to 10 minutes. And instead of spending that time on writing a stupid hook line or a general sentence, it's better that you utilize that time in completing your introduction and also in thinking of ideas or in basically brainstorming. So that is the better usage of the time instead of wasting your time in writing the generic line. Number two, I'm aware of the fact that a lot of coaching institutes are giving you a template of the first line. कि if the question is on tourism, ये वाली line लिख देना. If the question is on environment, then you can write this line. If the question is on, let's say, pollution, then you can write this particular sentence. If the question is on computers or technology, then you can start your essay with this particular sentence. Let me be very clear here. Maybe the institutes or the coaching centers that you have visited or that you have joined are giving you these hook lines or generic sentences, but trust me over this that these would be considered memorized and you would be penalized for that. Your band scores would be deducted if the examiner figures out that you had memorized the sentence. And trust me over this, they are way more smarter than you think, because all the examiners are trained well and they just by looking at the sentence they can make out that this is memorized and they'll be deducting it, because it's not a test of how well you memorize, कितना अच्छा रट्टा आप मारते हो. It's a test of how well you express yourself in the English language. So that's one reason why I would say that you should not be writing the hook line. The number two reason why I would say suggest that you should not be doing the same is that you might end up writing something that's not related to the question, slightly different from what the question is asking, and in your body paragraphs, you might end up deviating from the topic because you have written that generic line or that hook line incorrectly. This is a commonly made mistake by a lot of students जो hook line लिखते हैं, they end up writing something else in their body paragraphs जो question में पूछा भी नहीं होता. So that's how you mess up your first parameter, which is task response. So I hope I'm very clear. These are the two reasons why I personally recommend that you should not be writing the hook line. Otherwise, it's subjective. आपकी मर्जी है, आपने लिखना है नहीं लिखना है. But even if you're writing, you should keep in mind two things. Number one, that you should not take a lot of time in writing your hook line. Number two, you should not deviate from the topic. It should be related to what the topic is asking you to do. And number three, it should not be memorized, obviously. Okay, so I've given my take on this question. So I hope you're clear now, Reet and Naresh. I hope I've clarified your doubts. So this is it from my side when it comes to this particular parameter, and also why hook line should be written or not written. I have given my stance over it. Rest, it's what you want to do, but make sure that you don't end up making this mistake. Okay, so basically you have to maintain cohesion in such a way that it adds no attraction, and skillfully manage paragraphing. Your paragraphing should be appropriately done. So how do we increase our band scores in this particular parameter? So to achieve high band score in coherence and cohesion, first of all, let's have a look what we need to do to improve our scores in the coherence part. First and foremost, we have to logically sequence our ideas, logical sequencing of ideas. What do we mean by logical sequencing? Like similar ideas should be clubbed together. Now, advantages should be clubbed together and disadvantages should be clubbed together. Another example could be that if you're talking about health, let's say you're dividing it into physical and mental health. So it should be in the same paragraph together instead of writing like firstly physical health, secondly soft skills, thirdly mental health. ये गलत हो जाएगा. When you're talking about health, keep both physical and mental health together in close proximity. The sequencing should be first you talk about physical health, then you talk about mental health, then you talk about soft skills. But if you alternate it incorrectly, like if you say physical health, then you talk about soft skills, or you talk about education and then you talk about mental health, it would be messed up. Similar things should be clubbed together. So if you're talking about health, it should be clubbed together. Okay, so this is what they mean by logical sequencing of ideas. Sequence order of your points should be well thought. Okay, write in a structured manner. This is one of the prototypes. This is one of the ways of writing. You can also add third body paragraph here. So that's your choice. So introduction, first body paragraph, second body paragraph, conclusion. This is the most basic way of structuring your essay. You can add the third body paragraph if you feel like. However, I personally prefer doing it in this manner. So yet again, writing and speaking come with a lot of subjectivity. So there are certain do's and don'ts. Apart from that, everything else is subjective. So one of the don'ts that we discussed today is that you should not write any contractions or abbreviations. So that's one definite don't. कि ये तो बिल्कुल नहीं करना है. Apart from that, how many body paragraphs you write is your subjectivity and how you want to write the essay. However, do not write more than 3 body paragraphs. So a total of 5 body paragraphs is the maximum you should be writing, considering the time constraint and also the fact that you have to write 250 words and not more than that. Okay, so these are the two things that we had to do when it comes to coherence. What about cohesion? Cohesion is simple, that how well you connect your ideas, how well you connect your sentences and your paragraphs. So we'll be using connectors or linking words, and you have to connect them using appropriate connectors. So appropriately is the highlight. You have to use your connectors in an appropriate manner. I am repeating this again. Please understand the fact that you are not scored on the number of connectors you write. ओके कितने लिखोगे उसके हिसाब से आपके बैंड स्कोर्स नहीं डिसाइड होते. डज नॉट मीन इफ यू राइट 20 कनेक्टर्स you'll end up scoring 9 band scores, or if you write 5 connectors you'll end up scoring 3 band scores. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. It should be used only when it's necessary and only when you use it in a meaningful manner. That's it. Only use them when it's needed and use them accurately or appropriately. Okay, anything else? All right, I'm glad that Reeth is satisfied with the explanation. Thank you so much. Okay. So yet again, we have 3 broad directives: choose a side, view both sides, describe and explain. So we have dealt with choose a side, and somebody had, I guess, mentioned that, one of the live videos is not working. I'm not very sure about the technical glitch. We'll be rectifying it pretty soon. I hope we do not lose that video, because it took a lot of my energy as well to record it and to have that live session with you guys. So I hope we can retrieve it as soon as possible. However, if not, it's the loss for both of us. So we cannot really do anything, because I think that something has happened with YouTube, and we probably have lost it. Let's put our finger crossed. Probably we'll be able to retrieve it and it'll be live in a few days. Okay. Yes, punctuation is important in the essay. Definitely, punctuation is important in any language. It's important in your writing as well as your speaking. So, in speaking, the punctuation is not visible, but the way you speak, the way you modulate your voice, the way you take pauses, it all means that you are kind of using punctuations even when you're speaking. So, yes, punctuations are very important. So, in tomorrow's session, I'll show you how punctuations are important. Okay, I have this old post that I saw somewhere and I'll love to share it with you. I just hope I don't forget it by the end of the session. So, punctuations can change the meaning of sentences, so they are definitely very important. And not only in your essay, even in your letter. So, the writing as a whole, punctuations are important. So, coming back to the directives, choose a side has been completed. View both sides. We started it yesterday and we'll be having a look at it again. So, quick revision of choose a side. Agree or disagree. You have to take one stance. To what extent do you agree or disagree? You can take a stance. You can take 80-20 approach. You can take 50-50 approach. That's your choice. Then give your opinion again, 100% one extreme side, 100% the other extreme, 50-50, 80-20. You can take any side that you want to take in case of give your opinion, because it's simply asking aapko kya lagta hai. So if anyone has a doubt with regards to these particular directives, go back, watch those videos and put your doubts in the comment section. Today, I don't really want to talk about these particular things because it'll be repetitive for you guys. So let's move ahead. View both sides. Yesterday, we took up disadvantages and advantages question, or basically discuss both advantages and disadvantages. And we dealt with this question, computers are becoming an essential part of school lessons. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages. Today, we'll be picking up the same question, but we'll be just making this one tiny change, which is this. Computers are becoming an essential part of school lessons. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages and give your opinion. Fark bas itna hai that now I've just added the opinion part in the same question, nothing else. Alright, so these two, discuss and discuss plus opinion, would be dealt in the following sessions. So for now, this is the question of the day. So Mandeep Barar is asking about the first directive. So I always take one side in all types of questions. Is it fine? Now that really depends upon what the question is asking. Yes, it can be fine provided you have good ideas and points to substantiate your opinion कि आप ऐसा क्यों सोचते हो. तो अगर आपका ओपिनियन हमेशा अग्रीमेंट है या हमेशा डिसएग्रीमेंट है, देन यू शुड बी वेरी क्लियर इन जस्टिफाइंग योर पॉइंट्स कि आप ऐसा क्यों सोचते हो. Okay, number two, if there are two statements, like some people believe this, some people believe that, in that case, if you're taking one side, you should also be giving a comparative analysis of the other side. ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए आप दूसरी साइड को भूल गए हो. So there should be a comparative analysis. Okay. Yeah, I hope your doubt has been clarified, Mandeep. Piyush is saying he'll remind me. Okay, I guess you're talking about that post on punctuations. Okay. Okay, can we use all types of sentences for getting a higher band score? See, this is similar to the question that how many connectors should be used. So, how many connectors should be used? How many complex sentences should be used? How many compound sentences? How many simple sentences? Everything is bogus. Okay, so it is not. See, imagine if I'm the examiner in the IELTS test, I would not count the number of complex sentences you have written in your essay. I am not that free, I am not that vella. I have work, right? I'll read your essay and I'll see whether it's making sense, whether it's effectively written. So the focus should be on writing effectively. Your sentence structure should be based on how effectively you write your essay. Effectiveness increases when you write complex sentences. Okay, so it's not that you have to think that okay, मेरा next sentence complex sentence होगा. Like I've written 3 compound sentences, I've written 1 simple sentence, so my next sentence has to be a complex sentence. If you start writing like this, you will break your natural flow of thought and you will not be able to basically write properly. You'll get stuck every now and then, and you will keep thinking how many complex sentences I've written, how many connectors I have used, how many compound sentences I have written. So don't do that. Be very natural when you're writing, but make sure that you're writing effectively. If you write 2 simple sentences that can be easily connected together using certain connector, or you can make it a complex sentence, then go for it. Not because the examiner is going to count the number of complex sentences you're writing, but because writing complex sentences instead of writing 2, 3 simple sentences would simply increase the effectiveness. Okay? Okay, guys, this is not a grammar class, so everybody who's asking about gerund or passive sentence, conditional sentences and all of that, I cannot tell you about punctuations and all of that right now. So that is a separate class altogether on grammar. And today the focus is on essay writing, right? You guys need to remember that it's a 15 days essay writing challenge. So in 15 days we learn how to write all sorts of essays, all different types of directives would be covered, and you will understand how to structure each and every essay properly. So I hope I'm clear. Okay. You're welcome, Shah. Mandeep will be taking up discuss both sides and give your opinion in tomorrow's session. In fact, day after tomorrow. So it's not difficult at all. Just stay tuned with us. Join us in the live session tomorrow and day after tomorrow, and that issue will be covered. So let's get back to this particular question. Quickly read, and I know some of you have watched us discussed and brainstormed the ideas for this particular question, but we'll do it again for the ones who have joined us fresh today. So, chalo, let's just quickly understand this question. Quickly tell me the advantages and disadvantages. It's also going to be like a revision for you guys. All right, guys. So, quickly brainstorm. Tell me. Okay, so Anu says it's convenient, less paperwork, YouTube technical issue. Okay, so just breathe, please cooperate with us. The weather today is not very good, so you probably might be facing certain issues, but you can definitely watch this again. So Anu says effective teaching. So cool, I'll just show you guys the advantages. So these were the advantages that we wrote yesterday. So it's convenient. Or do you want me to write it again today? Whatever you guys suggest. Graphical representation is easy and not only to understand but also to remember for longer periods of time. Perfectly fine. Don't write lot of information, Amritpal. Instead of that, it's better to say that there's abundance of plethora of information, because we don't have to make it sound negative. Lot of information negative lagta hai. It sounds a little negative. So we'll focus on writing in a positive manner, that we have a lot of information with us at our disposal. Storage, very good. I guess we did not mention the storage part yesterday, or did we? I don't know. Okay, interactive, distance learning, all right. Anything else? Abundance of information, perfectly fine. Sumandeep, stay. Stay with us. It's not going to be same. Advantages, disadvantages was the question yesterday. Today we are adding give your opinion. Okay, so it's not going to be the same. Okay, perfectly fine. Let's quickly revise then. So this is what you guys had talked about yesterday, advantages. So with regards to both students and teachers, so it would be convenient for the students to study, because they can access information anywhere, anytime. There's complete flexibility. So convenience, and let's add flexibility, comfort. Okay, so this can be one point, and let's make this the other point itself today. Okay, so this is both for, this is mostly for the student but also for the teacher, that you can conveniently use the internet facility or your computer anywhere. Okay, uh, anywhere, anytime. Flexibility basically means anytime you can watch YouTube videos, you can learn new content. So you can also talk about Byju's, so websites and applications such as Byju's, Udemy. So these are the websites you can talk about. And then comfort, then they can learn at school, they can come back home and they can also watch it, they can watch it while traveling. So those things can also be covered, but this question is kind of concentrating on school lessons, so we'll avoid the comfort part, but otherwise yes, it makes sense. Okay, second is interactive. So the sessions that are created by the teachers, the audio visual lectures, they're interactive in nature, they're creative, they're animated, therefore they're interesting, and the student can visualize whatever is being told to them. So basically, if let's say there's a topic on cuboid, or there's a topic on, let's say, the engine of a car, if there is a visual presentation or a video of how an engine looks like, so they'll be in a better position to think about it and understand the concepts much better. So the understanding is improved here. Okay, abundance of information is our third point. So yes, needless to explain this, there is a plethora of information on the internet. Google Baba's in the bath. So as many questions as you want to talk about, discuss, you can ask Google, you can ask the other search engines, Wikipedia, whatever, and you can get your answers. So that's another one. If you remember yesterday also, I mentioned that less paperwork is definitely one advantage of computers, but it would not be very accurate for the school purpose. So we'll not be using this in our body paragraphs, but still I'm just letting it be there so that you guys know that that's one advantage, but you should not be using it in this particular question, because it's about school lessons. Ye school lessons mein kaise fayde mand hai? Okay, so storage space, definitely now students can store their assignments, projects, teachers can store their lectures that can be reused during every session. So if today a teacher has taught the 10th standard or the 10th grade, after they have done their 10th grade, and then they have to, the 9th grade has to be taught the same subjects in the 10th grade. So she can reuse those videos and teach effectively. So effective teaching is another thing. So the point number 2 and point number 6 can be interconnected. So this is what means, this is what they mean by coherence. So these 2 points should be placed close to each other, one after the other, so that the sequencing is perfectly fine. So that is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to place it here. Okay, so that you guys are okay with the fact that these two are very similar in nature, that the point 2 and 3 are very similar in nature, and we'll be clubbing them together and sequencing them together. All right, so we're done with the advantages. Anybody else? And let me tell you, today we are doing a new question. It is and give your opinion. Okay, so we learn how to discuss the advantages and disadvantages, and along with that how you can give the opinion. Okay, quickly let's look at some disadvantages. So physical health, mental health, age specific, older staff cannot manage it, value of teacher or interpersonal relationships reduce, lethargic, students become lethargic, they're not active, they're not productive, they become dependent for basic skills on calculators, spell check, predictions and all of that. There are a lot of distractions, when you're watching YouTube, you might come across suggested videos, and then you might waver and you end up watching something else that's not related to your particular subject. And then loss of information, cybercrime, bullying, blah blah blah. Okay, so that was a quick brainstorming because I didn't want to bore you guys, because we've already discussed this. So makes life more comfortable and reliable for everyone, saves time and energy, increases productivity. All right, so good points. I guess everything has been covered. Okay, now the point is, how do we write this essay? First of all, you guys need to tell me your opinion. आपको क्या लगता है? So there are both advantages and disadvantages, and we had discussed that in yesterday's session. So we have already discussed advantages and disadvantages. Now, how do we write our opinion? First of all, we'll have to frame our opinion. So frame your opinion. So, Amritpal, distraction basically means that when you're looking for your homework or when you're learning on the internet, you might end up playing some video game, or you might end up opening some social media website like Facebook or Instagram, and you might end up deviating from studying and start playing or surfing the net in general. So, that is what distraction means. Okay, I'm asking you guys for your opinion. What's your opinion? I'm going back. This is the question. So yesterday we have done this part. We have dealt with the advantages. We have dealt with the disadvantages. Now I want you guys to give your opinion. Quickly, क्या ज़्यादा है? Advantages ज़्यादा हैं, disadvantages ज़्यादा हैं. What do you guys think? Be very quick right now. I don't want you to waste any time. So advantages are more. Shah says it's advantages. Um, Mandeep says 22 people should give this video a like for watching it. Thank you so much, Manpreet. Yes, give a thumbs up to this video if you like it, and also share it with your friends and help them in their IELTS journey. And also spread a word, subscribe to our channel. We need your support, and thank you so much for being with us. So, okay, advantages. Perfectly fine. So, now here, do we have to write this thesis statement in this question? Everybody who gives the right answer is going to get more than 7 band scores in their writing. So think before you reply. Thesis statement लिखनी है इस essay में कि नहीं? I'm showing you the question again. Are we supposed to write the thesis statement in this question? Okay, all of you who've written yes, definitely we have to write our opinion or our thesis statement here. So paraphrase the question as we have already done it in the yesterday's class. Then we have to write the outline sentence as we did it in yesterday's class. But in this particular question, we also have to write our thesis statement. So let's make some, let's edit something in the previous essay. So whatever we have written. So okay, becoming an indispensable part of learning at educational institutions. This is how you paraphrase the question. It has both merits and demerits. Okay, can be changed. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have written it has both merits and demerits. So we acknowledge that merits are also there, demerits are also there. However, according to me, it will be more beneficial. Beneficial for the learning process. So what I'm trying to say here is my opinion is one-sided, that I'm focusing on the fact that it is important for the students to learn more through the computers because it's more advantageous. Is that fine? Everybody clear with that part? So we have done with the paraphrasing of the question, we have done with the thesis statement, and we've also done with the outline sentence. Yes, Jaspreet Kaur, you're absolutely correct. We have to write 80% advantages here and 20% disadvantages to support our opinion. Okay, everybody is saying the same thing. So computer potential. Okay, everyone going. Every flowers. So you don't have to just avoid using such phrases and idioms. Every flower has bush of thorns in it. Do not use that. It's not required. It has both advantages and disadvantages. However, in my perception, the positives are far more than the negatives. Perfectly fine, Reet. Good job. So, all right. That's our introduction. We have already brainstormed. That's also done. Moving on to body paragraphs, a quick revision. So body paragraphs, I would recommend writing 2 body paragraphs. You can also write 3 body paragraphs, one for advantage, one for disadvantage, and then you can write one for your opinion. So that's also fine. That's your choice. I recommend writing 2 body paragraphs, 1.5 body paragraph for advantage, half a body paragraph for disadvantage, and then your conclusion. So that's how I do it. I'll show you how it is done. And yet again, it's your choice if you want to write 3 body paragraphs. Okay, so first body paragraph, open the body paragraph with an introductory line about what that paragraph will talk about. So you just have to tell you've started talking about the positives or the negatives, then you have to state your first idea. So let's have a look at what we stated as our first idea. So this is the introductory line that we are giving the advantages here. Okay, then we are saying to begin with, we are giving our first point along with its explanation, which is yet again this part. We have explained and elaborated. Then fourth is that we're giving a survey, or we are basically giving one example. So this is how it is done, and the same thing is repeated here. So this is how you have to basically write your first body paragraph. So the first body paragraph would remain unchanged. However, what we'll be doing is we'll be editing our second body paragraph. So here, instead of giving another point, what I recommend is that we would be writing the third benefit of computers. So here we can start by saying, okay, let's pick one of these. So first we have used about students, then we have told how teachers would benefit, then we can give the um, let's say this point. Okay, so we can say furthermore, so this is a connector. Furthermore, furthermore, okay, so here we have written furthermore, it provides convenience as well as flexibility to learn anytime and from anywhere. So this is our third benefit which comes in your second body paragraph, and here you can give a survey or you can give an example. So anybody who would want to try and give an example here. Okay, so this is my third point or third advantage, and after that I would start by giving one disadvantage, and I'll start by something like this. However, so you're writing one disadvantage, so you start with however, because so far you were using on the one hand, and you were using for instance, moreover, furthermore. These are used when you're talking about similar things. However, or you can also write on the other hand. On the other hand, So you can write there. Okay, let it be with red itself. There are a few minor disadvantages such as deterioration in physical health. Just for basic skills. Okay, so this is how I would basically be editing the essay. This is how your second paragraph would look like. So some of you were asking, what do you mean by 1.5 paragraphs and how do you write it? So this is how you basically would write your second body paragraph. So we have written, on the other hand, there are a few minor disadvantages such as deterioration in physical health along with increased dependency on computers for basic skills, which can be avoided by proper supervision from parents and teachers. So basically what we are trying to say is there are three advantages and one disadvantage, or one or two tiny disadvantages which can be controlled or which can be avoided by proper supervision from both the parents and the teachers. So this is how you have to write, and I would want to give you this homework, or maybe just now do this thing. Please write the conclusion. I want you to change this conclusion. This is yesterday's conclusion. Can you guys change it and incorporate the opinion in this? Yes, you can write on the contrary. Rana is asking whether on the contrary can be written instead of on the one hand. Yes, you can definitely do that. Okay, anybody who can attempt the conclusion, quickly, please write down the conclusion. Come on, be quick. Okay, so I would try to recapitulate as discussed above. The usage of computers in educational settings has both benefits and drawbacks, or has both positives and negatives. However, so this would be my conclusion. I'll just cut and copy paste this entire thing into the slideshow. So So this is your introduction. Anybody has any doubts with the introduction? This is your introduction. Please read it out. Latest technologies such as computers are becoming an indispensable part of learning at educational institutions. It has both merits and demerits. However, according to me, it is more beneficial for the learning process, and this essay will discuss the same in detail along with, or I can say, and substantiate my opinion. So this becomes your introduction. Then let's move on to the body paragraph. This would be your first body paragraph. So this is your first body paragraph. Have a look at it. Then this will be your second body paragraph. And then ultimately your conclusion. Okay, so this is how your essay will look like. Now here definitely you can add more information like physical health issues. I haven't written those because I've already discussed them. You can write physical health issues, and you can give the example of, let's say, weakening of eyesight, posture issues. So you can add that and you can increase the length of this particular sentence, and increase dependency on computers for basic skills. If you remember, yesterday we talked about usage of calculators, spell check, Grammarly. So you can also insert those things in this particular paragraph. So this is how you can increase the length. Okay, so this is how your essay will look like. Let's quickly see what are the keywords, what are the connectors that we have used here. So to begin with, and then furthermore, on the contrary. Okay, so these are connectors, and then to recapitulate. Okay, so these are basically connectors that you use. There must be another according to a recent survey. Moreover, for instance, to illustrate, such as, these are basically your connectors and you should be using them appropriately. So here, to illustrate, so here if you notice, on the one hand is when you're talking about advantages. As soon as you start talking about the disadvantages, it becomes on the other hand. Cool. This is the first thing that I wanted to make sure that you understand. Whenever you're writing similar ideas, you can use to begin with, and when you're adding a similar idea to it, you write moreover. When you're writing another similar idea, you can write furthermore. You can also write moreover, furthermore, in addition to, additionally. So these are the words that are written when you're adding similar information. And when you're giving examples, you can use for instance, you can use to illustrate, to exemplify, such as. So these are the words that you can use to basically talk about or give examples. Then comes your conclusion. So to write the conclusion, you can use this connector. You can use to conclusion, to conclude, in conclusion. You can use, do not use in a nutshell. That is incorrect. That is informal. Do not use that. Apart from that, you can use these particular things. And when you're giving some contrary information, on the other hand is one way of saying. You can also write on the contrary, in contrast, however. So here, if you notice, I've written however. So however, the negatives can be controlled by appropriately. So appropriately monitoring the students. So this is how it's supposed to be done. This is yet again not the best way of writing the essay. If you notice, I quickly made a few changes here because I wanted to show you how to do it. You can make certain changes here, make your essay even better. You can use different words, you can write in a better way. But this is how it needs to be done. So we're done with the body paragraph, we're done with the conclusion. So conclusion is that you do not have to add any new information. You do not have to restate your ideas. You just have to wind up your essay by keeping in mind your opinion. So when we have written the conclusion, we have written that there are both benefits and drawbacks, because if you notice, we have given the benefits as well, we have given the drawbacks as well, but we are saying that the drawbacks can be controlled, which basically means that the advantages are more than the disadvantages. So that's it for today. Any questions that you guys have, please let me know. Very good, Mandeep. Brilliant conclusion. In conclusion, implementation of technology in school is extremely beneficial. Please check the spelling of beneficial, it's incorrect. For students, and its minor drawbacks can be easily tackled. Very good. Kirti says to recapitulate as discussed above, the usage of computers. Okay, you've written the same thing that I wrote almost. Has more benefits than the drawbacks. Perfectly fine, that's also good. Okay, Amritpal is also correct. You need to write it in a little more detail. To conclude, I would definitely agree that benefits. Piyush, the spelling of benefits, B-E-N-E. It's not N-I. I guess you have made this mistake for the second or the third time. Of using computers as education centers are absolutely supportive for the new generation. Okay, this is also fine. Okay, that's it. I guess you guys are doing good. Manpreet Kaur has also attempted the conclusion. I believe that computers classes are better owing to the fact that it provides plethora of knowledge coupled with distance learning. Now, if you're writing this, make sure that in your body paragraphs you've not written any other point rather than this. Plus, the thing is, avoid restating your ideas. You're basically restating yourself in the conclusion. आप सेम चीज दोबारा लिख रहे हो मनप्रीत, you're saying that plethora of knowledge coupled with distance learning. So we do not have to restate our ideas. जो body paragraphs में लिख दिया है, that's done and dusted. Try not to repeat it. Even if you're repeating it, make sure that you use different words, you showcase wide range of vocabulary, and also that, you know, uh, there are other points that I had written apart from these two that you have mentioned. So make sure that if you're writing, all points should be covered. If you're not writing, it's the best strategy according to me. So that's it for today. Any questions can be quickly mentioned in the chat, and a little about our course. So yet again, we offer one-to-one personalized guidance courses, which are basically 1:1 ratio, one student, one trainer, and you get as much attention as you need every day for 1 hour, 5 days a week. And each session with us is a mock test in itself. You get absolute flexibility. If you're busy, you can take the classes on alternate days. You can take the classes 1 hour every day or 2 hours every day, but the total number of sessions remain the same. And then it's a very practical approach because every session is a mock test, and after every session you get feedback, you get to know what your mistakes are and how you should be improving yourself. And definitely each and every line of your essay would be read, each and every line of your task one will also be read, and you will be given the feedback on it, your grammatical errors, your mistakes with the vocabulary, and also if you're deviating from the topic, they'll be pointing out that you've deviated from the topic. They'll discuss a lot of synonyms with you. So the trainers are going to be helping you out a lot. And similar would be the case with speaking. Each session is a mock test in itself. They'll ask you questions, you'll have to answer, they'll give you feedback on the answers, and they'll tell you if you have mispronounced a word, if your vocabulary isn't topic specific, they'll give you words that can be used in certain questions. They'll also check whether you're fluent and coherent in your speech, so that's something that's very important. And ultimately they'll be taking care of your grammatical range and accuracy, your structure, your sentence formation, is that correct or is it tutti frutti English. So all of that will be taken care of. And we are always training you guys, and our agenda is to train you based on these four parameters, both in case of writing and speaking. Because trust me, if you guys don't know on what basis you are being evaluated, what the examiner is looking for, you'll not be able to give that, right? अगर आपको पता ही नहीं है आपको स्कोर कैसे कर रहे हैं, what is the basis of giving you the band scores, you will never be in a position to provide the examiner with what they're looking. So इसीलिए in every session I am making sure that I discuss in detail all the parameters. In the first few sessions I focused on task response. Now we are focusing on cohesion and coherence, ताकि आपकी सारी problems clear हो जाए, कितने connectors use करने हैं and कैसे connectors use करने हैं, क्यों use करने होते हैं connectors, what's the correct usage of connectors. So all of that needs to be discussed, right? Because if you don't know, if you are in this misconception कि 10 connectors use करके आऊँगा या आऊँगी so I'll be able to clear the test, that's incorrect. So don't do that, and that's the agenda why we are focusing on each and every parameter in detail. So I'll be taking up the rest of the parameters also in the following sessions. For now, I want you to be very clear with cohesion and coherence. I hope task response is clear. आप लोगों को समझ आ गया है कि task response कैसे achieve करते हैं. So that's it from my side. So if you guys wish to enroll, and as I've always mentioned in the previous sessions, make the most out of this lockdown situation, this quarantine situation. Yes, COVID-19 or coronavirus is a negative thing that's happening, but it's our duty, it's our basically it's our responsibility to make these negative times positives and to make these days at home productive. So all you have to do is tune into our YouTube channel and subscribe to it, watch our videos, like them, share them with your friends and family members, whoever is preparing for the IELTS test. And along with that, make the most out of this time to prepare for your IELTS test, because you will never get this time back again. As soon as the lockdown ends, as soon as the quarantine ends, and I hope it happens really soon because we want to get rid of the coronavirus. But till then, till the time we have these 14 more days or 10-15 days more, let's make the most out of it, because as soon as the lockdown ends, you guys would be yet again getting back to your hectic routine life, and you'll not be able to spend a lot of time with yourself or on the preparation, and then you'll have to manage your work and life. So it might get tricky. So this is the time, make the most out of it. And thank you so much for sticking around. Any doubts? Let's quickly have a look. Jaspreet, we have already done live letters. So you can kind of, there's this playlist, write essays and letters live with us. Go to our channel, go to our YouTube channel, Jaspreet, click on the playlist button, and you will see 3-4 playlists there. And on one of the playlists, you'll see essays and letters written live. So I've already discussed informal, formal and semi-formal letters live during the sessions. So आप जाके वो देखो, and if you are not able to find it, I'll just write the phone number here, and you can get in touch through that phone number and we'll share that link with you. You're welcome, Piyush. You also stay safe. And Jaspreet says you're seriously invincible teacher. So I'll just tell your vocabulary sir, the vocab cafe sir, that people are actually using the words that he is teaching. So thank you so much, but that does not really make much sense. Tomorrow at what time? We'll start at 7 tomorrow. Today there was some issue with the internet. Thank you so much, Mandeep. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye, guys. Have a good day and keep practicing, keep studying, and bye bye. Take care.